Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be doing a simple bustier pattern with the yoke inclusive. So if you're looking forward to learning how to draft a bustier pattern, then just stay to the end of this video. So I already have my basic bodice pattern already drafted out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be taking the difference between my nipple to my under bust, and I'm going to mark that upwards. That's 3 inches upwards. That's the difference between my nipple to my under bust. I'm just going to mark a straight line all the way through. So now that I'm done marking that line, I'm just going to label it because that's the base for my chest line. And the next thing I want to do is to extend my dart leg. So I'm just going to make sure that it corresponds to what I already have. That is 4 inch, right? And I'm going to extend that. Now on that dart line that we've drawn, I'm going to, on the chest line, I'm going to come inwards by 1 inch or 0.75. So if the person is busty, I take 1 inch. If the person is not that busty, I take 0.75, which you see me do here. And then on the part that's towards my center front, I'm going to take ½ inch. But if the person is busty, I take 0.75. Coming over to my underbust, from the dart line, I'm going to come out by 1 inch or 1.5, depends on how busted the person is, right? But on this video, I'm coming out by 1 inch on the other side. If the person is busted, then you can use 1.5 inch. So I'm just going to be connecting all of this with the curve part of my pattern master. So I'll be connecting from my nipple line to that 0.75 inches that I have towards the arm area. And then I'll do the same thing to the 0.5 inch that I have towards my center front on the chest line. Please take note of the areas of the curved areas that I'm going to be using to be connecting my lines using my pattern master. So I'll just repeat the same step from my nipple point to the 1 inch that I marked on the under bust for both sides. So now that that is done, I'm going to mark that same 1 inch from the dart leg on my allowance area. I'm just going to mark 1 inch on both sides and connect it back to the under bust using the straight part of my ruler. Now that that is over, we're taking back that 2 inches and then we're just going to replace it on the side, just at the waistline, but I put it on the allowance line, right? Then we'll take that difference that we have on top, that is 1.25 inch, and then we'll put it just on the arm area to replace that. And then going with our pattern master and connect all of these lines together. So at this point, I'm just going back in with my ruler and then just blending out everything, as you can see me do here. So now we're almost done drafting our pattern. So personally, I like to add 2 inch as my sewing allowance, and that's what you see me doing here. Just adding 2 inch on top and then 2 inch at the bottom. And then I'll just connect it all the way through. So once again, I'm blending everything back in with free hand. So the next thing I'm going to be working on this pattern is the bust dart. So how to get your bust dart is the difference between your shoulder to your waist front line and then your shoulder to your waist back. So when you do that subtraction, that's what's going to give you your bust dart. So for me, my bust dart is 2 inches, and that's what I'm going to be marking downwards. I'm going to be marking 2 inches downwards from my nipple line, and then I'm just going to connect that back to my nipple point. So this bustier is going to have like a sweetheart neckline. So I'm just going to come down by 1 inch from that chest line because that's how deep I want the sweetheart neckline to be. I don't want it to be too deep. And then I'm just going to connect from that 0.5 back to the 1 inch. So now for the other side, I'm just going to use my pattern ruler and just try to create like a curve and bend it or blend it back to the armhole, just as you see me doing here. And we're done with this. So that's all for this pattern. So I'm just going to go ahead, to blend everything nicely and start cutting my pattern. So now you can just go ahead to, label your pattern. That's your center front and then your side front piece and as well as your yoke. So now I'm just going ahead to cut out my pattern, and for this I'm going to also be closing my bust dart, which you're going to be seeing shortly in this video. So now I'm about to close my bust dart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to that line where we marked the 2-inch, right? And I'm going to slash that open. So I'm not cutting my nipple line, but I'm cutting the new line that we created for the bust dart. Going to slash that, not slashing everything through. And then I'm just going to go in with my paper glue stick and I'll just glue everything back together. So what I'm just doing here, I'm just taking that down piece and putting it just above, just at the nipple line, and then sealing everything through. So now I've closed my bust dart. Now we have these 3 pieces together, which is my yoke, my center front, and my side front piece. And that's all for the front part of this pattern. So now let's move over to the back part of this pattern. So now over to the back part of my pattern. This is how we're going to draft it. So I already have marked my shoulder to nipple line, shoulder to waist length. So what I'm marking now is the 2-inch zipper allowance, because I'm going to be contouring the zip. Just going to be showing how you can contour the zip of your pattern. So I'm going to be using 2-inch as my zipper allowance. So what I'll be doing next, I'm going to be marking my shoulder measurement. Just from that zipper line, I'm going to be marking 7.5 inch. And then after that, I'm going to come down by 1 inch and still go ahead to mark that same 7.5 inch downwards after the 1 inch line. So I'm just repeating my shoulder measurement to create my armhole curve line. So next, I'm just labeling my pattern. That's my nipple point, waistline, and then the allowance. And what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to take my pattern master and then just draw a straight line, because that's where my dart is going to be meeting, and that's where the back yoke is going to be starting from. So I just labeled that as back line. So what I'm going to be doing next is mark my dart, which is 4 inch on my, allowance line, and mark that same 4 inch on my waistline, and mark it on my shoulder to nipple and still on the back line, right where our yoke is starting from. And I'm just going to draw a straight line across. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is marking my dart. So I'm going to be putting 1/2 inch on both sides, and then I'm going to connect it like a triangle. So what I'm going to be doing next is to be putting back my waist measurement from that zipper line, which is 8 inch, and my bust measurement on my armhole line, which is 9.3 inch, and then I'm just going to connect that all the way through. So the next thing I'll be replacing that 1 inch for the dart, and then I'll blend it back to my armhole area, right? And after blending, what I'm going to do next is I'll be adding 2 inch allowance from top to bottom of my pattern, and then I will just connect as well. So now over to the area we'll be putting our neckline and then our armhole curve. What we're going to do now is we'll come down by That's 1 inch, and find the midpoint of the 7.5, which gave us 3.75. And for the back, we're going to come inwards by 0.5 inch. So here we'll just take our pattern ruler, the curve area, and then we'll just connect all of those dots together. Now over to the neckline. You can choose to do whatever neckline you want. Now I'm coming down by 1.5 inch, and then the next thing I'm going to do is going to mark my shoulder measurement divided by 2 to get the perfect area for my neckline. So I'm taking from that point to the 1 inch slope, right, that we made earlier, and then I'm going to be connecting with my curve ruler, right? So now we have a round neckline. So I'm just going to add a little style line at the back, right, and create some kind of like circle shape that you see me doing here. So your neckline can be any neckline you choose. It all boils down to your own preference. So you can actually do a V neckline, or just like the one that you see me doing here. So now I want this part to be a bit deeper, so I'm just going back in with my pen tool, and then I will just try to blend everything back in so that you can see it. So for the zip contouring, I'm just going to come in by 1 inch on that 2 inch zip line, and then I'll just connect it back to the top. So I'm going to replace that 1 inch at the side of my allowance and then blend it back. And that's all for today's video. So now I'm just going to go ahead to cut out my pattern so you can see it. So please do not forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll be posting more tutorials soon. So let me know if this was helpful in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.